As violence in South Vietnam intensified, new leaders emerged in Hanoi. Ho Chi Minh would remain the face of the revolution around the world, but he now began to share power with men who were growing impatient with his caution. Men about whom Americans knew almost nothing. The most important proved to be a carpenter's son from Quang Tri province in the south named Lê Duẩn. He had helped found the Indo-Chinese Communist Party, survived nearly 10 years in a French prison, and proved himself a shrewd political infighter as he rose to become first secretary of the party.
Tôi thì năm 1951 thì tôi được gặp ông Lê Duẩn đầu tiên. Lúc đó chúng tôi là cái loại cán bộ rất nhỏ và chưa học hành gì cả. Ông đúng là một cái người có khác hẳn nhiều cái người lãnh đạo khác. Ông mang cái ý chí của cái người dân miền Nam của cái thời đó. Ông Lê Duẩn ông mang cái ý chí đó, cái tư tưởng đó ra với cái lãnh đạo cao nhất của đất nước.
By 1959, Lê Duẩn and his hardline allies were gaining influence within the North Vietnamese Politburo and beginning to change its policy. They now argued that Hanoi should do everything within its power to help Southern revolutionaries remove Diem by force.
The North Vietnamese adopted a more aggressive posture. They did not accept the division of the country as such, and they would like to have the country reunified again at any cost.
Now, bands of 40 to 50 armed Viet Minh began slipping back home into South Vietnam, following jungle paths hacked through the Laotian mountains that the Americans would soon call the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Violence against the Diem regime steadily accelerated. On the evening of July 8, 1959, at Bien Hoa, 20 miles northeast of Saigon, 6 American military advisors were watching a movie in their mess hall. Viet Minh guerrillas who had crept silently into the compound opened fire through the windows. Major Dale Bice from Pender, Nebraska, and Master Sergeant Chester Avnand from Copperas Cove, Texas, were killed. They were the first American soldiers to die from enemy fire in the Vietnam War.
We must prove all over again to a watching world, as we stand on a most conspicuous stage, whether this nation, conceived as it is, with its freedom of choice, its breadth of opportunity, its range of alternatives, can compete with the single-minded advance of the communist system.
On November 8, 1960, John Fitzgerald Kennedy was elected President of the United States. His vice president was Senator Lyndon Johnson. They had narrowly beaten Vice President Richard Nixon and his running mate, Senator Henry Cabot Lodge. During the campaign, both Kennedy and Nixon had pledged to hold the line against international communism, wherever it seemed to be a threat. But very few Americans knew or cared about what was going on in Vietnam. 6 weeks after Kennedy's election, at a remote jungle village called Ton Lap near the Cambodian border, representatives of Southern revolutionary groups met to form a new organization to replace the Viet Minh, dedicated to overthrowing Ngo Dinh Diem and ousting the foreigners supporting him. Behind the scenes, Lê Duẩn and his communist comrades in Hanoi were orchestrating everything. The new organization would be called the National Liberation Front, the NLF. The armed wing of the NLF was called the People's Liberation Armed Forces, but its enemies in Saigon and Washington preferred a more disparaging term. In their eyes, the revolutionaries were communist traitors to the Vietnamese nation, the Viet Cong.
Các cái nhà lãnh đạo Việt Nam mà nói rằng là chúng tôi sẵn sàng hy sinh đến cái người dân Việt Nam cuối cùng, thì chúng tôi coi những cái câu đấy là những cái câu mà đáng ca ngợi. Thực sự mà nói thì người dân không biết được, miền Bắc không có thể ý thức một cách đầy đủ rằng đằng sau những cái tuyên bố mà cao cả đấy là sự hy sinh của chính họ. Lịch sử sau này sẽ coi rằng là cái cuộc kháng chiến đó có xứng đáng để hy sinh nhiều người dân như thế hay không.
Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, to assure the survival and the success of liberty.
For me, I'd always thought of courage as charging enemy bunkers or standing up under fire. But just to walk day after day from village to village and through the paddies and up into the mountains, just to get up in the morning and look out at the land and think in a few minutes I'll be walking out there, and will my corpse be there or there? Will I lose a leg out there? Just to walk felt incredibly brave. I would sometimes look at my legs as I walked, thinking, how am I doing this?